Well, I'm here to work on this Mercedes, but this was a Mercedes I worked on before, and they were supposed to replace parts, and he gave it to the shop right there. That's a new one that came in. That's auto color. But this place went out of business. This is out of business. This is out of business. This is out of business. That is out of business. And it's all out of business because they left because their leases were up. And a big multinational corporation came in. And this is one of the many pieces of properties here in Burlingame that they bought up and doubled or tripled people's rent overnight, saying, you owe this. But the only reason he's still here, his lease has not run out yet. And so he's still here, and I think the corner one lease was not out yet, but they'll get a big, double or tripling of the rent. This big corporation came in and they put a new face and facade on it to make it look modern. That's all they did, just bullshit. All they did is spit and polish and want to charge triple the price. And they did that with several other shops around here who all had to leave and downsize or move way out of the business. As you can see, if you look at the Mercedes and BMWs, that's a Mercedes place. So you got a Mercedes down there, a Mercedes, a Mercedes, a Mercedes, a Mercedes, then you got another Mercedes, a Mercedes, a Mercedes, a Beamer, Mercedes, 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 and skip my little Prius, Mercedes, Mercedes. And because he's the only one left around. And that's what these big investment firms have been doing, is putting places out of business or forcing them to move out of the area, because they're literally going into an area and buying up everything they can from people and then just saying, you either pay this or get out, unless they have a long lease and it was written well by a lawyer, and they stay behind because it's too expensive for them to fight them, kick them out, or raise their rate. That's it. If you don't own your building, this is how I see many of my customers go either out of business or be forced to move and then pay more rent anyway, but just not as much because they find a cheaper place. As everybody in business who's in business, who I've known for 30 years plus, the majority of them all went out of business because they were forced out from their landlords, either by hiking up rents or the building went up for sale to somebody else. And so if you're in this business and you plan to stay in it for the long haul, for the rest of your life, purchase your property, and don't be like those other guys who all went out of business or were forced to move into a hard spot where they're not in a nice place anymore. All right, see you guys later. I got to come back to this one because the place over here was supposed to already have replaced this receiver dryer, the fan switch, the pressure switch for the compressor, the receiver dryer, and you'll see a video on this when I come back. All right, see you guys. But yeah, the word for today, whatever you can do, own and purchase your property. That is your first biggest priority. Don't even buy a house. Buy a commercial piece of property and move in the back, build off of it, build up, live inside of it, you and your kids, struggle, own that piece of property, because a business piece of property makes you money. A home loses you money. Which one do you want? Do you want to struggle for the next 30 years paying a mortgage plus another mortgage on a business piece of property, but you might not, if you're not good enough in business, maybe you can never make enough money where you can pay two simultaneous mortgages at the same time, or save up another down payment for a commercial because you dumped all your money into a residential. I've seen so many guys struggle when they were young and sacrifice, and they move their families and raise their kid in the back of their commercial property. But you know what? 20 years later, their kids are going to the finest colleges. They own their business property, and because they don't have no more payments and it's paid outright, they were able to afford to buy a nice home later and send their kids to good colleges. Unlike some of the other guys who did it ass backwards. They buy their personal home, they go into debt, they could barely save up enough money to ever buy a business property, and their kids have to go to public school. So, your choice. See you guys. It's not the only way to do it, but when I see guys who have nothing and they don't have family who could give them money, or somebody to just, money fall from heaven from, and they got to actually work and earn their way through things, you might want to think about living in a business piece of property before you buy your real home. See you guys.